So for more perspective, I'd like to welcome back into the show David Hebert, economist at the American Institute for Economic Research, also a fellow with the U.S. Senate Committee on the Budget. He's also worked for the U.S. Joint Economic Committee. He knows his stuff. David, great to see you again. All right, so canceled inventory now orders from China, reports of a plan potentially for Amazon to expand its U.S.-based warehouses. Is this good news, or does it mean that Amazon will just really have bigger warehouses so they can buy more inventory at once? Will that mean less sticker shock when it comes to import taxes? What's going on here?
Yeah, well, thanks so much for having me today. It's a pleasure really to be on with you. So the Amazon case is really kind of an interesting situation to see. You know, they are correct that these tariffs that the U.S. and China are both levying against one another are going to be very expensive for American consumers. They're going to be very expensive for American producers, and they're going to be very expensive for American businesses. The simple fact of the matter is that manufacturing at small scale is especially cheap and available in places like China. But in America, we're very good at manufacturing at very large scales. So when we have these tariffs on China, not only is it going to affect Amazon and all kinds of other online retailers, but it's going to decrease the dynamism that the American economy has been known for in creating all the new products. The simple fact is that what we're seeing is that manufacturing sort of what we could call small batch orders could be as high as 400% greater if these people are not able to use manufacturing in China. And so this is really going to hurt America. This is really going to hurt China, but it's especially going to hurt American consumers.
All right. So, David, I want to talk about, because when we talk about Amazon, I think a lot of people think of, you order it, you go online or whatever, it just appears at your door. But a lot of that is coming from actual Chinese sellers. So they are there in China selling here to America. So now, can you tell us, is it likely that these sellers, these Chinese sellers on Amazon, are either going to hike prices, or is it possible that they'll just quit the market altogether because of these steep tariffs? And in either case, what does that mean for U.S. consumers?
So I think you hit on a really good and very important point in that we need to acknowledge that global supply chains, as they are today, do run through China. Almost every single one will touch China at some point. The question is, how extensive is it? We can look at international trade patterns between the U.S. and China to get some sort of a semblance of this. So when it comes to Chinese imports from the United States, so these are goods that China purchases from the United States, we only comprise about 7% of all of their imported goods. By contrast, China makes up about 14% of all of our imported goods, and we import a lot more goods in total than China does. So if we think about it this way, China kind of does have a big advantage over the U.S. in whatever negotiations are about to happen. The simple fact is that China is less reliant on the American economy than America is on the Chinese economy. Now, we can debate whether this is good or bad. We certainly saw some of the problems with this during the pandemic and the inability of ourselves to have access to masks, to ventilators, etc. So I'm not going to say that this is, something that we should not fix, but to think that it's going to be fixed overnight and by tariffs in the hundreds of percent is just lunacy. This is something where diplomacy around the rest of the world, like what we're seeing China do with the European Union, is actually a much better way. It doesn't risk America losing access to goods and services, and it comes with the added benefit of diversifying our international trade patterns such that not every supply chain runs through China. Now, look, we need to change this, and there's no debate that China is abusing the world market. But standing up to China on our own, like we're doing now, is no recipe for success.
Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your screen. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.